Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 4 recap. We are now back at it, both here, and actually putting out episodes after a short little break last week. And it was another great week of NFL football, so let's just jump straight into it. Usually now we would talk about some of the major injuries that happened this previous week, but at least none that we can think of off the top of our heads happened. So nothing major, so gotta love it. If you can go a week without having a star NFL player be missing the rest of the season, that's pretty damn good.
The only season ender to come out of this week was, I believe, Tre'Davious White.
Oh, did he
popped
tear
his Achilles?
Okay, I knew he'd had something with his Achilles,
he did.
but I didn't know if he
tore. He's the only one to be injured long term like that this week.
Bummer for that Bills secondary, but I guess 1 is better than 10, like it seems there usually is. So now we're just going to jump straight into the games, starting with the Packers game and Thursday Night Football of the Detroit Lions heading into Lambeau and smoking the Packers by a score of 34-20. If you ask me, it was kind of even worse than 34-20. The Packers got a little bit of comeback, but it was more garbage time stuff towards the end of the game. They didn't even look that bad in my opinion. It's just Detroit looked better. I think that maybe they did play a little worse than it seemed. It made Detroit look a little better than it seems. But at the end of the day, it was just a rough one for the Packers overall and a pretty damn good one for Detroit, having a really hot start, getting up to 27-3 at halftime.
Yep, it was a rough one. I was there to see it firsthand. I saw the ship go down. I stayed through the whole game. So at least I stayed with my team. I never gave up till the final score. I am now 0 for 5 at Lambeau. I've been to Lambeau 5 times, never seen them win. But as far as the game goes, I should have seen it coming. We had our top 2 offensive linemen were out, Elkin Jenkins and David Bakhtiari. Zach Tom, our right tackle, was playing on a bum knee, and we lost John Runyon halfway through the game. So we were down to basically our starting center as our starting offensive lineman. And so that really was the key, that pass rush from Detroit, is able to get so much pressure on Jordan Love. And the way that our defense played was not good either. We got gashed by the run game again. And the same thing continues to happen when we play really good running backs. We get beat pretty bad. So hopefully they're able to shore that up and fix it. I was able to see it firsthand. It's not good. It's not good.
Let me tell you, I've seen in person. It's not where it's at.
I saw Montgomery run all over the place at Lambeau, and Detroit took over. I tried to fight the fight, but there was just too many of them.
It's like one of those things where it's just so horrific to watch, but you can't look away. You want to talk about bad run defense, I'm with you there, because we'll jump straight, the perfect transition, into the Minnesota Vikings and their terrible run defense that has also been rearing its ugly head this season. So next game is the Minnesota Vikings heading to Carolina to take on the Panthers, but we actually win by a score of 21-13. We pick up our first win of the season finally. All it took was going against one of the worser teams in the NFC, but hey, I guess you got to have a get-right game somewhere at the end of the day. We did have 2 more turnovers, putting our total on the season at 10, maybe possibly even 11, if I'm not mistaken. So just over 2.5 turnovers a game averaging, which is absolutely horrific. But it's the first time that we weren't -2 or more in the turnover differential. We were only -1, but our turnover was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. All it really did was erase the pick 6 that Kirk Cousins threw on the 2-yard line earlier in the game. But I could sit here and point out a lot of things that were bad. I'm going to have the optimist outlook on it. I'm going to look at the good and look at Harrison Smith, who had 14 total tackles.
He had a resurgence.
3 sacks and a forced fumble, which is just an insane stat line to look at. It's not as good as a stat line that we're going to talk about in a little bit here in one of the other games, but just absolute insanity by Harrison Smith there. And Marcus Davenport actually played his first game as a Minnesota Vikings, or his first fully healthy game, we'll say, as a Minnesota Vikings, and picked up a sack of his own, so that was really good to see. And DJ Wanham was the one who got the recovery for the touchdown. So the edge rushers and pressure in general really showed itself in this game. I love what Brian Flores is doing, especially going against a rookie quarterback. Bryce Young just looked lost. He looked like he never knew where the pressure was coming from, and it's probably because he never did really know where the pressure was coming from. Justin Jefferson picked up 2 receiving touchdowns for himself. Really good stuff. A lot of good that we can take away from this game. And the best of all, it's the first win of the season and hopefully a turning point.
Yeah, when Kirk threw that pick 6, I thought, oh man, oh boy, this is not going to be good.
And then he threw another one out of a hit that was picked in the red zone later the game. It was...
Minnesota tried to give this one away, but Carolina just couldn't take advantage of it. They really were able to pressure Bryce Young, make him look really out of sorts. That was the key to it, is the amount of pressure they were able to get on him. And Harrison Smith, like you said, he had quite the resurgence. That was quite the performance by Harrison Smith, and shows that he still has it in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. And before we move on to the next game, just a quick note. I said we were going to talk about a better defensive performance, but I got my games messed up. The person I was talking about was Khalil Mack, who picked up 6 sacks and 2 tackles for a loss against the Raiders. But we aren't going to be talking about this game this episode, but might as well give that shout out to him, because holy crap, is that an amazing game.
Almost Chargers record and
almost
record.
Tied the NFL. I think did tie, almost broke the NFL record.
Almost tied it. The record is 7. No one's gotten 8.
No one's gotten 8, so just insanity. He had this 6th sack by like the third quarter though. Like he was on pace to do it. It was insane. But jumping on to the next game, one of the games we actually are going to talk about is Callan's game of the week. And the Miami Dolphins heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills in an AFC East showdown and getting absolutely smoked. The Bills put up 48 points and the Dolphins were only able to put up 20. Putting up 48 points is what the Dolphins have been doing all year, putting up 70 last week and consistently putting up huge number of points week in and week out those first 3 weeks. But now they ran into that Bills defense, which sometimes falls apart a little bit, but at the end of the day, is a damn good defense. It's really the first true damn good defense they've faced this year. And it showed. I mean, putting up 20 points is still very respectable. I'm not knocking that at all. A lot of games, if your defense plays better, you end up winning that. But when the other team puts up 48, 20 doesn't look very good for you.
No, when the other team puts up 48, you got to put up 49 or more. And the Dolphins weren't able to do it this week. So fins down for the Dolphins. Fins down because they were not able to get it going like they were against, who did they just score 70 against? The Broncos. They were not able to keep that momentum rolling at all. Tua did not look like himself. He was pressured most of the game by Leonard Floyd, of all people. Had a big game. And he didn't have as big of a game as Khalil Mack or anything, but he still had quite the performance with a couple of sacks, and he was pressuring Tua all game.
Yeah, I mean, Stephon Diggs put up 3 touchdowns. Josh Allen put up 4. The Bills were just clicking on all cylinders, to say the least.
Bills looked more like the Dolphins last week.
Very much, yes. And then for our final game, we have my game of the week and probably the overall game of the week, if you're considering what was on the line and the score. We had the Washington Commanders heading into Philadelphia to take on the Eagles and just barely losing in overtime by the score of Philadelphia with 34 and Washington with 31. Man, I am loving Sam Howell. He looked bad last week, ironically, against that stellar Bills defense we were just talking about, which apparently can make any quarterback look bad. But he really showed that he has a place in this league again this week, going against another very stellar defense and divisional opponent in Philadelphia. and putting up a hell of a game. He had a couple of touchdowns, almost 300 passing yards, but the Eagles were just a little too much. They were able to tie it up late, bring it into overtime, stop them on the Washington Commanders' first possession, and then kick the game-winning field goal. It was just an amazing game overall. Highly recommend going back and watching some highlights if you didn't get to catch it. But this is a huge division right now, this NFC East, with the Commanders, Eagles, and Cowboys all looking really damn good. So it'll be interesting to see the kind of who wins that and who's in and who's out as the season goes on here. But good stuff by the Commanders. A lot of good stuff to take away from this game, even though it was a loss.
Yeah, it was really a good performance for the Commanders to build off of. Hopefully they can carry that momentum. This game was back and forth all day long.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually was tied, got tied when Sam Howell hit Jahan Dotson in the end zone at the last second. No time left. It was the last play of the game. So that was really exciting to watch. I watched that on Red Zone. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, he's my new crush. I'm not going to lie. My new QB crush is Sam Howell. I have really liked how he's been playing. And the fact that it's only his second year, first year starting, I think he has a true bright future in this league.
Yeah, he definitely played well this week.
Hey, last time I had a real QB crush, it was Josh Allen. So it's looking good for Sam Howell.
No, you're not going to claim Baker or Zach Wilson?
Baker was before Josh Allen. They were just old things, It's all Josh Allen and Sam Howell now. But that was our NFL Week 4 recap. Make sure to stay tuned in until tomorrow when we give our NFL Week 5 predictions. But until then, don't forget
to eat the W.